Alright, so kicking things off today, I'm just going to make a quick stop for the two doors on the main cabinet section. And I thought I'd point out, if you're going to be using brass screws in hardwood, it's always a good idea to drill the holes a little bit bigger than you think you're going to need them. Drive the screws in and out a couple of times to cut the thread. And if you've got it, put a bit of bees or candle wax on there, as they can be quite prone to binding up and snapping, and that can be a real pain to deal with. Okay, now we're onto some fun stuff. I've got to cut this wide ash up into some lengths, dress it up, and then I'm going to be shaping it into those shelving units that go above the case. So that's these two pieces of ash milled up and flat and square, and now I've got the task of shaping them into these two shelves here. Now I was thinking I'll probably use the same method I did with a previous project where I made a jig for a router sled, and I'm sort of just wondering whether I can reuse that one or whether I'll need to remake it, but I'll just sketch it out on the actual piece first and then go from there. So I've got my two shelves marked out and figured out what I'm going to do for the brass rod. I've got there's a brass rod that'll be separating these two shelves like so, with a 200mm gap between the two. This one will just be a straight 25mm hole stopped about 10mm from the bottom, and this one will have a 25mm hole with a shoulder coming down to 20mm, and then this one, which comes all the way down to the top of the case, it's going to be the same sort of story. We've got a 25mm step down to a 20. Both this one and this one are going to be all the way through the shelves, so you'll actually be able to see the round brass bar poking through the top as a bit of an accent. So I just got to make sure I drill those perfect, so everything lines up once it's all together. Alright, so now that I've got those holes cut, I just need to work on this sled and get it all put together. It's just sat there at the moment. So what will happen is the router will go in there, go up and down all the way, and that will help me cut the shaped profile on this shelf. Sleds like this are quite easy to put together. You just cut two identical shaped edges, stick them down with painter's tape and CA glue, and put a couple of stop blocks on each end. The only downside to them is they take a really long time, as you've got to make a million passes, but they've worked well for me in the past. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. I imagine if I'd come in with the bandsaw and removed majority of the material beforehand, it would be a lot quicker, but I just didn't really trust my bandsaw not to drift for these two pieces, so I figured it was worth just taking my time and going through it pass by pass. So here's where I'm at. I've just been working on the second shorter shelf, and I've just run out of battery on the router. So while that's charging, I'm just going to come back to the longer one and clean up down to my line with my little mini ebony compass plane, and then probably try and get the bulk of this out. So at least that one's done, and then by then I'll be able to get back onto the second one and just rinse and repeat. Alright, I got the bulk of that done manually with the planes, and I've got to do the same for this one. Yeah, I'll do that one, and then give everything a bit of a tidy up with the sander and maybe a file and a rasp, and then I need to cut them to final length, and then I need to head up to my brother's place so I can turn down the brass, and then once that's done I'll be probably mocking everything up once again, so I can double check everything and then get the hole drilled into the top of the case there, and that'll be a big step forward. So I'll keep slaving away and get that second one done. You can kind of get the idea, those will be sitting there like that with the, oh come on, there we go, with the brass rods supporting them, and I just need to cut them to final length, but it's a good bit of effort there, got a bit of mess to clean up, so onward.